In Smash 64, this character had a losing matchup to almost every character in the cast. He was the largest, heaviest character in the game, combo food for almost every character in the cast. While this character had a laundry list of flaws like being slow with poor approach options, but when this character came to Melee, things changed. Although it took a while for this character to develop fully in the meta, and still there's probably definite room for growth, it's weird to finally admit that Donkey Kong is finally a character in Melee people are taking seriously. Okay, I know that sounded strange. Donkey Kong was always a character in Melee. Let's be real though, he was overshadowed for a long time. Donkey Kong has been a diamond in the rough, previously seen as a low to mid tier character in the past for many years. But more recently, he's been seen as a solid mid tier in Melee's meta. Now why is this the case? What makes a strong character in Melee's meta? Well, Donkey Kong's moveset essentially is a stick of dynamite. Some characters in Melee, they struggle to KO. It's easily one of the worst flaws to have in the meta is a lack of KO power, and it's also why the top tiers are the way they are. Now, it's not just strong KO power or else Ganon would be higher than he is. Your recovery is important, your combo game is important, and how well you do against the rest of the cast. DK kind of ignores some of these flaws ironically, but yes, he also has his own flaws too. His moves are relatively laggy, especially if he misses. His recovery is definitely not the best. He can be projectile camped because he's a big target. That also means he's going to be combo food still. But because Donkey Kong is relatively underrated, that means Donkey Kong has one of the biggest boons right now is that not everybody knows the matchup. And if your opponent has no idea what you're doing, this can be big. Donkey Kong's strengths include his powerful attacks, his high damage output, as well as his ability to cargo throw his opponents. Some skilled players have had success with Donkey Kong in competitive play, often utilizing his cargo and throw game and his powerful aerial attacks that rack up damage and secure KOs relatively early. However, due to his weaknesses and the strengths of other top tier characters, Donkey Kong is typically not considered a good character, at least back in the day. Sure, Donkey Kong has a tie hurtbox that can be troublesome when dealing with projectile users, but going back to cargo, which is one of the most interesting grabs in all of Melee, as this allows Donkey Kong to input where he wants to throw the opponent. It's kind of a throw within a throw. You can also walk while holding somebody in cargo, which means you can do this off stage. Neat. Now, something Donkey Kong was known for doing in Project M is comboing the living brains out of fast fallers. In fact, because of the low knockback of his up throw and cargo, he can combo fast fallers really well. Donkey Kong can immediately invalidate floaty characters if he manages to link a giant punch really early, as an early giant punch can KO as early as 50 to 60% on Jigglypuff. This is the exact opposite of Marthritis. Donkey Kong is just being a Chad and can KO that early. You can use this combo finisher out of cargo, and it's easily one of DK's best tools to have on deck. And because his aerials are great at comboing, like his up air and nair, it means Donkey Kong can combo characters like Fox or Falco well on Yoshi's Story. Donkey Kong's neutral tools require him to scrap, so spacing back airs and finding a grab confirm are going to be integral. He's essentially a pseudo grappling character, so finding the best setups that lead to a grab confirm are going to be key, especially if you want to use DK's KO power as much as possible. An important tool that is his power shield and light shield. Light shield actually covers more of DK's body compared to regular shield, which is kind of a meme shield because it doesn't cover his entire body. So knowing how to light shield can actually be extremely beneficial defensively because it gives DK a little bit more of a better shield. Projectile characters can keep Donkey Kong from a distance, so if a Donkey Kong main knows how to power shield really well, you can actually combat some of these projectile spammers, but again, it's not a win-all option. It does help though. He can be railroaded by other characters and just comboed like a hacky sack. It's one of the struggles of being a big character in Melee. However, once Donkey Kong gets his opening, that's when he's the most dangerous. If you like this kind of playstyle, it reminds me of another version of Donkey Kong. People might not remember Project M Donkey Kong. Now, I know this is honest content theory crafting time. There was a period where Donkey Kong Renaissance actually existed all the way back in Project M. A similar thing happened back in 2017 when Thunder's Reign came into the scene with solo Donkey Kong. He entered the scene as a relatively new player with a seemingly mid-tier character at the time, beating tournament after tournament with solo Donkey Kong. Now obviously Project M DK is a buffed version of the Melee DK. The reason why I'm comparing them is because Project M Donkey Kong shows that his character archetype on paper is incredible, and now Now obviously PMDK got plenty of range buffs, KO buffs, speed buffs. It shows that a buffed version of Donkey Kong can be a really good character. And I know this is theory crafting land. You don't believe me? A buffed version of DK in Project M is currently a high tier character. And during Thunder's reign, quote unquote reign, Donkey Kong was everywhere. You saw him so much more, it was almost like everyone was picking up a pocket Donkey Kong for a while. A similar renaissance is happening right now with Donkey Kong and Melee. Obviously, a DK hasn't won a major or anything like that, but the main difference is people think it's actually more possible right now than it ever was in the past. Is DK going to flip Melee's meta on its head and just take its lunch money? Well, obviously no. Donkey Kong is still a mid-tier character, but he has plenty of promise, especially right now more than ever. Now, what Donkey Kong is going to need from here is, first off, he's going to need a player that's similar to what Axe did with Pikachu or what Ampha did for Yoshi, someone that can push Donkey Kong to the next level. DK needs someone who can ride or die with the character, and plenty of players are close to that. Alright guys, if you guys like the channel and you want videos early, there's a Patreon down below. Shout out to my Patreon subscribers. And if you want exclusive videos available on Metafy, there is a Flaws of Little Mac video on Metafy, so check that one out.